Hey, how's it going, guys? Today I want to tell you a little bit about myself that you probably don't know, but before I get to that, I want to let you know I've decided on a schedule for my videos. On Wednesdays, I'll be doing things like this where you learn random things about me or top books or whatever. Point is, these will be the ones that are more or less on the random side. And then on Sundays, by the way, today is Wednesday that I'm filming this, and Wednesdays are the days I'll be uploading said videos. On Sundays, I'll be doing week in review. I will tell you about my entire week. I will tell you things that were very interesting or things that weren't so interesting that I just think are interesting. I don't know. But so that's my schedule for the videos. Just so you know, it's almost getting closer and closer to November as we speak. And November is National Novel Writing Month. So while this month is Preptober, as I call it, or as a lot of people call it, for prepping for NaNoWriMo, I will be not as able to keep my videos up during that time. I will do my best. I'll definitely do my Sunday videos. I don't know how I'll be doing my Wednesday videos yet. I might pre-tape some of the videos in advance just to keep things going smoothly. Anyway, as for this video, I'm just going to tell you about myself, some things I think you'll find interesting or weird or whatever. I don't want to do one of those tag things because I tried taping those so much, but for some reason every time I turn away from the camera app on my computer, it stops taping and I don't realize it for a long time, so I'm just sitting there talking to myself, and technically that's what I'm doing now, but I'm talking to myself intending to talk to you. That is the difference, and that is what matters to me, is that you can hear me and see me. And so I'll just tell you things about myself that relate to the questions I had read, but it's not going to be all about the questions anymore. It's just going to be me telling you about myself, telling you things that you may have never heard of about people in general. And so yeah, let's get to it. First off, I want you to know that I have a thing called congenital anosmia. The reason I want you to know this is because one of the questions on those tag things was, what is your favorite perfume? And that would be the hardest question for me to answer because I can't smell. That is what congenital anosmia means. It means you were born without the sense of smell. I don't know why I was born this way, but I was. I've never been able to smell things that I'm aware of. I know people have complained a lot about skunks around me, and I never smell them. People tell me to smell their flowers, and I can't smell those, and I've had people stick things up my nose to try to get me to smell them. And people don't seem to understand that I can't smell means I physically can't sense smell at all. But so yeah, that's one interesting thing I think you should know about me, because it affects a lot of things. I have a bad memory, which could be partially related to the fact that our strongest memories comes from smell. And again, I don't have any sense of smell. But it also just affects my writing because I can't really explain smells if I can't smell them. I don't know much about smells because of it. I do know that I can taste. That is one thing I can do, which people think is weird. But to be fair, I don't know if my sense of taste is the same as yours. To me, it tastes normal, but that's just because it's what I grew up with. But a lot of people say that things I find spicy aren't actually spicy, the things I find salty aren't really that salty. So it's possible that I have an abnormal sense of taste just because of that. I have no clue. I can't exactly perceive things how other people perceive things, so I have no idea. Anyway, I also have another sensory issue, which is called hyperacuity syndrome. What it actually is I hear louder than normal. So I have no sense of smell, but I have superhero hearing. Not superhero hearing necessarily, but I was once told I heard 10 times louder than the average person. And to me, that's kind of like what you would expect from a superhero, not from a kid who's afraid of everything. I've been like this since I was at least 2 years old. I was diagnosed, I forget when actually, but it was in the single digits. I was told I could slowly begin to become more normal with my sense of hearing over time, but honestly I have no idea if I have, because again, I perceive things differently than others. I know my father has to whisper sometimes for me because I hear him too loud. It's really hard to say whether or not those things are normal. Since we're on the sensory track, I might as well explain. These glasses are real glasses. I know some people wear fake glasses. I need real glasses. I know that's also pretty common. I have astigmatism. I'm nearsighted, and one thing that my glasses can't help is I have an intermittent exotropia, which means every so often you might notice one of my eyes go this way, going outward, and it's just one of the eyes, and it's just a weird thing that my eyes do. It normally only happens when I'm ill and tired, and I can't hold control over my own eyeballs, but it does happen, and it's not that uncommon either. It's just a weird thing. Other things about me, I remember one of the questions being about sports. I am not a sporty person. I don't pay attention to sports, and I don't really find them entertaining, whether it's to do them or not to do, or to watch them. But I did do sports in middle school, excuse me. I actually didn't do anything in high school because high school was a very complicated situation. Middle school, I lived in California for a few months with my aunt, and I did track and field. Specifically, I was put on discus because I was really good at that, and I also did basketball. So basically, I'm really good at throwing things, which is a scary thought. But I do like bowling. I occasionally like some basketball. I don't do them that much anymore, but they are things I've enjoyed in my life. Bowling I enjoyed for a very long time. My mother and father both did some pro bowling before I was born, if I recall correctly. I know my mom had some trophies. My parents have been divorced since I was 8. Well, they separated when I was 8. They divorced when I was 10, I think it was. But, so I've grown up with my father, primarily. I still live with my father. And I rely on him a lot because I can't do certain things on my own. I mean, not being able to smell is actually really dangerous for you because you can't tell if there's gas leak or something. He's the one who actually usually finds those things for me. He is the one who helps me deal with my anxiety and depression a lot of the time. I really rely on my father a lot, and I love him a lot for that, and just in general. But he is a little bit crazy, and so am I, and crazy is good sometimes. I don't mean like the psychotic, waving knives around crazy guys. I mean we're basically like a sitcom, we're often told by our friends and family. We are a lot like a sitcom family. We make bad jokes all the time. We make fun of each other a lot. It's just how our dynamic is. Let's see. Other things that I like are the color green. The cows. I actually have a cow plushie right near me. This is my cow plushie. I have others, but this is the one that I keep near my desk because I'm crazy. I also have 2 Pikachus over here right now. I enjoy coloring. I have been working on building a planner for myself, which I am finding very useful. I'm talking about like a journal type planner. In my case, it's in a binder. It has various things for me to do my principles that I found for to-do lists, for goal setting, for just getting to know myself better. And so far it's been really helpful. I've been finding it very good at reducing my stress levels, and I find it just really, really helpful so far. And the coloring pages I find that have good quotes on them are really fun for me to color. They help relax me. So I'm finding it very helpful so far. Let's see. I told you that. My favorite books, is the very interesting thing I considered when I was doing the tape out of this earlier and failing. I have multiple favorite books in both novels and in manga. I read a lot of both. Well, I used to read a lot of both. I don't really read many novels anymore but I still read a fair amount of manga. And I have a lot I love, and so my favorites there. In novels, I would highly recommend Snowflower and the Secret Fan if you like historical fiction. It's by Lisa C. It is a great historical fiction. I normally hate that kind of story, but this one it's so fascinating. It's about 19th century women in China. It gets very nitty-gritty into details of things about their lives, like how matchmaking worked, how they bound their feet, like literally the process. And God, that was difficult to read, but it was a great story, and overall it was just a great read, even if it was a little bit disturbing at times. So I highly recommend it. The other novel I would recommend is actually from the series. It's the Magic or Madness trilogy by Justine Larbalestier. I hope I'm saying that right. It is a modern fantasy. It takes place mostly in Australia and New York. I forget where in Australia it is, unfortunately. I haven't read it in a fair amount of time. Unfortunately, this is an older favorite. But it's a great series. It makes you really think about what counts as magic and what is important in our lives. It still has actual magic in it, but it's just a really interesting viewpoint, I find. So I highly recommend that if you are interested. I will try to link to the books I mentioned down below, just because I personally think that it would be good to enjoy them. In terms of my manga, I mostly read a lot of horror manga, which is kind of weird because anything that's horror usually is something I would back away from, but I've been trying to desensitize myself, and horror manga really helped me a lot with that. So my top manga at this point are horror manga, or horror-esque manga, which are Alive: The Final Evolution, which is a really interesting concept of what happens when we've gained the immortality that humans crave. What happened? It has aliens, it has special powers, it has a lot of death. I will be upfront with you about that. The title is deceiving. Is about death. I'm not kidding, that's literally what it's about. But it's a very unique storyline. It's pretty interesting. I like the characters and the concept and all the different powers that you see in this manga. So it's just a really interesting one. I highly recommend it. The other one I would highly recommend, because I'm going to do 2 for 2, is called High Rise Invasion, or at least that's the English name for it. It is a very traumatizing story, I will admit. It has a lot of death in it. It has some wild plot twists, and the main concept is, what would you do if you were suddenly stuck on a tall building and your choice was to be killed or to kill yourself? That is essentially the concept in a nutshell. And I know that is extremely depressing, honestly, to think about, but the way this comic goes is just astounding, and it's a really interesting concept they went with, because, I mean, all the this world, you just wake up in a world consisting of only high-rises, aka skyscrapers, and it's just really interesting seeing both the emotional stress it can cause and also how strong people become in times of terror and things like that. So I highly recommend it. Again, I'll try to get links to these down below. One extra I really highly recommend is if you're trying to understand people in the LGBT community, I highly recommend you read The Bride Was a Boy by Chi. It was originally a comic blog from this young lady who, it's actually about her life and her transition as a woman stuck in a man's body, and it's about the people around her, the way things people reacted to her, and it's just a really amazing thing. She includes infographics and things like that at the end of chapters, and it's just really, really well done. The art style is super cute, and I've read it so many times I can't shake a stick at it, but I love it so much, guys. Anyway, that's about it for now, I think. I don't want to waste all your time today, but so yeah, that's been a bit about me. If you have any questions about me, you can always ask them in the comments. I always welcome comments. I would love to hear your thoughts in general on anything I mentioned. And if you have ideas for future videos, hit me up. I always am happy to give it a go. Or I'm pretty sure I'll be happy to give it a go. And yeah, I'm Jelena Rolick. This is my channel. I do a lot of random stuff. And that's the reason I think you should, if you're going to subscribe to someone who does random stuff, I'd like it to be me. But you don't have to, it's up to you. But if you did like this video, please at least give it a like before you go. And just take a look around. Give me a good chance at least. Anyway, that's it for today. Bye bye, guys.